everyone, this is Ricey and welcome again to the channel, The Quest for Wealth. So we have tackled the process and the timeline of Liam's application for student permit when he applied back in 2019.
Yes.
You then have received your student permit in December. You flew to Canada in December as well.
Just to make it clear, I received my student visa
Okay.
December 2018. So when I flew here in Canada, that's when I came to immigration, that's the only time that they will give you a student permit.
I see. So the student visa allows you to enter
in
Canada. I see.
And the student permit will allow you to study in Canada.
Right. Okay.
So but during immigration in the port of entry in Canada,
Where did you enter?
It's in Pearson. It's in Toronto.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have to stay there for 13 hours actually.
Why?
Because I landed there 7 in the evening, and then my flight to Moncton, New Brunswick, is the next day after. It's around 8 a.m.
Yeah, because you wanted so much time, you didn't know how long the process would be. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, okay.
So when I landed in Toronto Pearson, so I went walk over to the immigration officer.
Yes.
I provided him all the documents that he needs.
Yes.
Especially
Hang on a second, sorry. When he was talking about the landing in Toronto, in the Pearson International Airport, it just came popping back to my head when I came here the first time. I exactly did the same thing. I think I provided 15 hours of waiting time just to allow the processing period before I traveled to Moncton.
But more than 10 hours is not necessary.
Yes. How long do you think is sufficient?
Around 3 to 5 hours.
Yes, yeah. I think 5 hours as well is sufficient.
Actually, my first time spending Canadian dollars when I stayed in Pearson International Airport.
And
I spent it in Tim Hortons.
yeah, it was your first time.
Yeah, it's my first time.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
You landed on Toronto Pearson Airport.
Yes. So I gave the documents to the immigration officer. So he gave me two permits.
Okay.
It's the student permit and the work permit. The student permit allows me to study and work for 20 hours.
Okay.
So the work permit allows me to do my on-the-job training. On the job training, you have to spend there more than 20 hours.
Right.
So it's the legal document that allows you to take your OJT.
Okay. And the OJT is paid?
Not necessarily. You can have an OJT which is paid, which is not. When you read your work permit, it has a specific date when are you going to take your OJT.
Right.
So mine, it started from November and ended in December. So it stated there that I'm allowed to work more than 20 hours during that period.
I see. Okay. All right. And then so you received these two documents, and then?
Then that's a waiting time for me to fly in Moncton.
To Moncton. Okay. So then you arrived in Moncton. I guess the very important question is, how did he start his life in Moncton? How did he find an apartment in Moncton? How did he go around Moncton? And the people, how did he find people to hang around with? See, the thing is, Liam and I, we play squash together. That's why we know each other well. We know each other through common friends as well, but we do share a common sport. We play squash together. So, question now is, how did you find an apartment to live in Moncton?
So the day I received my student visa, I started looking in FB Marketplace and Kijiji.
Okay.
So I talked to several people that was already here in Moncton.
How? How did you find them?
So I just searched there's a private group, it's called Tambayan.
Okay.
It's Fun B Moncton. It's a
Filipino group.
In Facebook. So
Yes.
I started contacting them and then asked if there's any available place or they know any place.
Yes. Facebook Marketplace is a fundamental, beautiful way to find people that could help you find an apartment in Moncton. That's how he was able to find an apartment. And Filipinos have got this group called FANB, Filipino Association of New Brunswick. So it's a private group. So if you're a Filipino, you can search that group and and ask questions there. There are various people who are willing to help and kind enough to answer questions. And then, how did you find it in Moncton? Was it a big adjustment for you? Or?
It's very a big adjustment, especially for the weather.
Yeah,
Because
January is the peak of, come on, it's the peak of winter.
So I bought a winter jacket in the Philippines before I.
Which is what, as thick as this.
Probably thinner than that. It's around -10 when I arrived here, and
Yeah. And that's still hot.
that's
That's
still
still
hot.
warm.
Yeah. Now that I'm used to snow, -20 is, I can say, the
Cold one.
the cold one.
All right. So when you landed in Moncton, what was the very first thing that you did?
Okay, the next morning that I wake up is I went to Service Canada.
Yeah.
And I got my SIN. It's the
Okay.
social insurance number.
Yeah.
So every resident here in Canada is required to have an SIN.
All right.
Without SIN, you're not existing in Canada.
And that is absolutely correct. Your SIN is your existence in Canada. Your SIN is required on everything that you will do with the government, or even not with the government, with work, with your vehicle, with your banking. Every single thing you could possibly imagine is linked to your SIN. So the first thing that he did as soon as he landed in Canada was to apply for SIN, and then
I got my mobile number.
okay.
So what I got is, it's called public mobile.
Yes, okay.
So I got public mobile. It's around $15 per month.
Okay.
It
And
will-
that's a contract, or
No, it's just
Month to month.
month to month.
okay.
So I just have to pay $15. It's unlimited text and calls,
Mhm.
receive and outgoing,
Yeah.
and that's it. It doesn't have any data.
Okay.
So I don't recommend having data on your phone right now if you're a student, because it's an additional cost.
Yes.
Well, every place here in Canada, there's available Wi-Fi. In the
Correct.
bus.
Yes. And that is absolutely correct. If you are a student, or even if you're not a student, if you're on a budget, it's not necessary that you have to have data on your mobile, because even if you go to the bus station,
Grocery.
to groceries.
First, I just want to tell that your phone must be not company locked
Okay.
for it to work. Because
Okay.
when I got here, my phone is locked
Oh,
to
okay.
a Philippine service provider.
All right.
So
And
I got to buy a new phone.
oh, okay.
Luckily, I have a budget for that. To your question, food,
So, which is groceries.
groceries. So this is a funny story. The very first grocery that I went here is Sobeys.
Yeah.
So when I came to cashier, the first thing that they asked me is air miles. And I said, what? Then the cashier asked me again, air miles? And I said, what? I don't have idea what air miles is.
Yes.
So it's just like a advantage card it's a points card
Yes.
that they're using here in Canada.
Correct.
So I just said no. Okay.
And guys, it's important, air miles, because you will be buying groceries every day, every week, every month. You will be buying fuel when you
Have a car.
potentially have a car. When you buy anything at all, you can have points on your air miles, and you can apply for air miles card.
For average budget for me for groceries is $100 per month.
Okay.
It's for myself. It's more than enough
Yeah.
because I'm a single here.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is I can cook,
Yes.
and then I can eat that for 3 days. Adobo, it can last for 7 days.
Yes. Transportation.
Well, there's a bus pass that we call here.
Yes.
So the unlimited bus pass, I think for student, they give you a discount for buying it. It's a monthly pass. It's around $60 per month.
Okay. As soon as you start on the first day of school, what do you pay and how much do you pay? Do you have to pay for your tuition on a monthly basis, or can you pay it, I don't know, every 2 months, or do you have to make a full payment up front? How does it go?
Well, that's the payment system of NBCC. You're going to pay 50% of your tuition on fall term.
On full term?
Fall term.
Okay.
It's September.
Okay.
And the rest 50% in winter term.
Okay, so that's when?
January.
Hang on a second. So you landed in December and your class started when?
January 7th.
January 7th.
Yeah.
So on January 7th, how much did you have to pay?
I have to pay, because when I applied for my student permit,
Yes.
I already paid 25% of the whole tuition fee.
Was this required?
No, not necessarily.
And why did you do it?
I think it's just a front of me to tell the officer I can pay for my tuition.
I have money. Hello.
Yeah.
How much was your tuition fee?
So 4,800 per term,
Okay, and you have 2 terms in a year.
2 terms in a year.
So that's about $10,000
Yes.
for a whole year.
Yes.
Okay. So you meant 25% of the entire 10,000.
Yes.
Ah, okay, I see.
September, you have to pay the other 25%.
The other 25%.
So I can complete the 50% that they require.
I see. And then the other 50%, which is the 5,000, will have to be paid when?
January next year.
The following year.
Yeah, it's the next
Okay.
term.
So then after January, you pay the other 2,500.
No, the whole 5,000.
You have to pay the whole 5,000
Yeah.
in January.
Yes.
Ah, I see.
But there is an exception for some students,
okay.
just like me.
Hmm.
I have to apply for installments.
Okay.
There is an option for NBC students that they can pay for installments. The student must be already present here in Canada when they apply.
Okay.
Once you're granted, you can give them a specific number of payments that you can pay your installment.
Really?
Yeah, for me, I think it's 6 installments for the
Okay.
$5,000.
Okay, and that's applicable.
Yeah.
That's absolutely. All
Yeah.
right. Okay.
And it's a very big help for me
Okay.
because I'm on a budget.
Yes.
So,
It's a big help for anyone. Yeah. Because 10,000 is not a joke, huh?
yep.
It's a whoo.
And additional for that, I applied for scholarships. So here in Canada, they call it bursaries.
I thought applying for scholarship would endanger your application of permanent residency.
Not necessarily.
I see. Okay. So aside from applying for installment of your tuition fee, you also applied for scholarship.
Yes.
And your scholarship application is not with the government, it's with the school.
It's with the school.
Okay.
Yep. The scholarship that I have granted was called NBCC Foundation Award.
Okay.
So the NBCC has a foundation wherein they're giving some selected students some money to help them with their studies.
Okay, and these selected students are the what? The top, the creme of the
Not
creme, or what?
necessarily. So you just have to write a letter. Why do you need some help? And
Okay.
based on your letter, they will give you some certain amount.
All right.
On my case, they gave me $1,500 to help with my tuition fees.
And what was the concept of your letter? How did you convince them that you needed their help?
I'm on a budget. I have to send money to the Philippines.
All
I
right.
have to spend for my daily expenses here in Canada.
Yes.
That you just have to make a sad story. Why do you need the money?
Make a sad story. But it has to be a true
Yeah.
sad story. Nevertheless, the idea is that there are certain helps that you can apply for. There is the application for installment of your payment of your tuition fee, and then the bursaries or the scholarship. And well, the scholarship is not a full scholarship; it's a certain amount.
Certain amount.
In your case, it was 1,500.
$1,500.
Okay. Aside from tuition fees,
Mhm.
what were the other expenses that you had during your studying years in NBCC?
Well, I think the major expense that you have to consider is books here is very expensive. During my term, it cost me around 800 Canadian dollars per term.
All right. And that's brand new.
That's brand new.
All right.
So there is a chance that you can lower your expense because you can buy second-hand books.
Yeah. And where can they search for second-hand books?
Well, you can search through every marketplace. As I recommend to you, do not buy books first before the class starts.
Okay.
Because there are times that the books can be used as what they used before.
Yes.
So you can buy secondhand.
Yeah.
Sometimes the book you have to buy as brand new. And there are some cases that a subject requires you to have an online account. It is where you're going to take an online quiz or test.
Okay.
So you have it's very necessary for you to buy the books as brand new.
Right. So in a nutshell, so you're if you are to take the same path as what Liam did and rent for a beginner rent a room in an apartment, so that's about 450, 500. Unfortunately, as I spoke to Tin, our common friend, what she said is that 500 can no longer afford you to have a room in an apartment. If you wanted to rent a room in an apartment, you will have to budget for 700, she said, or 750, and then groceries would be 100, and SIM or mobile, which is communications, is $15 a month, and $60, $70 for transportation, $1,000 per month as a budget to live and spend on your day-to-day expenses, or be able to pay for your day-to-day expenses. In general, how is your experience with NBCC as a student?
As a student, I'm very, I could say I'm very good in school.
All right.
Yeah. Well, the teaching here, as long as you're giving time to study, it's not very hard.
Is it? Okay.
I think it's more it's more difficult to study in the Philippines than here in Canada.
Why is that?
I think because in the Philippines, the professor, they have the authority, they have the power.
Yes.
For over the whole room.
For everyone. Yes.
But here, the students have voices. So here,
you would say it's relaxed.
It's relaxed here.
Okay.
Sometimes you can ask the professor, can you move the exam next week, because I haven't studied yet.
And they would say yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes.
That's very cool. That's very relaxed.
Yes.
Yeah, but because I do know some other students who were saying that the amount of assignments is just enormous, that every day there is an assignment for every single subject.
That's very true.
Okay.
But for me, I'm used to getting my assignments all done right away.
Right.
So it's not piling up.
Right.
Well, but if you're going to be lazy for some days, well, it's going to pile up, and suddenly you're going to drown with a lot of assignments.
Okay, alrighty then. So going back just quickly, it just hit my head now. With regards to tuition fees, how much in total was the amount of bursaries were you able to claim from the foundation?
It's just a $1,500. It's just a one-time deal.
Oh, really? So you apply for one sem and that's it. If you get approved, that's it?
Yes.
Okay, got it.